Hi, this is Gareth Ainsworth and you're listening to the Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, where between now and what can literally be described as the end, we will bring you the following. I thought this week we'd do it in reverse order. It's a challenge I've just set myself. We'll hear more from Gareth Ainsworth, looking ahead to the trip to Oxford, and we'll look back at the defeat at home to Plymouth, and also reflect on a visit to the Somme this week, where he's taken the squad for a very interesting visit. More on that to come. We'll also look back at the historic day at Adams Park on Sunday, where Wycombe Wanderers Women played in the second qualifying round of the Women's FA Cup against London E Benfica. We'll catch up with boss Carl Simon, also speak to Cara House, who was captain for the day, and Esme Sword, who got the winner as well. Just realised I'm struggling now to work out what in reverse order we're bringing. Also, thanks to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, we'll hear from former midfielder Gary Patterson, who you may recall yourself made quite an impact at the club, getting 2 yellow cards on his debut and being sent off. But that was about 25 years ago. So we'll be hearing from him. He's based in Nottingham, so we'll be hearing from him a bit later on as well. Am I doing this correctly? It's in reverse, I just remembered. We'll hear from Phil in a few moments' time with our match debrief as well, looking back at a very poignant day, of course, at Adams Park on Saturday, when the life of Bill Turnbull was celebrated. Talking of Saturday, let's bring you some highlights. I've done it backwards.
Many thanks, Rob. Welcome to Adams Park, live from the Bill Turnbull gantry. Wycombe Wanderers taking on top of the table Plymouth Argyle here in what is going to be a pulsating League One match, as these loses out to McCleary, and now Vokes holds the ball up well, looking match sharp and fit again with a goal to his name last week, and it's a really good turn. Ball into the box, Freeman, narrow angle, goes for goal, and the shot is charged down by his former teammate Scar, and Sam Vokes looks in the mood today. Ball in back to Butcher now from the throw, knocks it into the area, Cosgrove goes down, that's a penalty. Foul by Horgan, I think. Cosgrove went down over the leg of Horgan, and it's a penalty to Plymouth in the 6th minute.
Yeah, we had a really good angle of that, didn't we? And it just looked like Horgan maybe just missed the ball. I thought at first it looked like maybe he got a touch on it, but there's no real complaints from the Wycombe team. I think he's just kind of swiped at it, brought his man down, and a massive chance for Plymouth to open the scoring again. Cosgrove
will take it. Scored 2 already this season. Will this be his first penalty? Right-footed then, Sam Cosgrove. Came off the bench last game on Sunday, made a difference. Cosgrove versus Striek. Here he comes now, right-footed, and scores. Striek goes to his right, Cosgrove went to his left on the floor. It's a good penalty, and Plymouth have the lead here in the 6th minute. Wycombe 0, Plymouth 1.
Yeah, Max Striek just guessing the wrong way and made it look really easy to Cosgrove, to be fair. It's a decent penalty. Not right in the corner, but yeah, when you're sending the goalkeeper the wrong way, there's nothing you can do about it as long as it's on target.
Reno flicks on, not cleared convincingly by Randall. Mehmeti has it on the left wing, rolls it into wing, cross comes in, it's a good ball, Farino! Oh, diving header, great save. Vokes on the volley on the follow-up, charged down by Scar. Chris Farino can't believe he didn't score. That is some great goalkeeping though.
Yeah, Cooper, as you said earlier, winner of the Golden Boot last year, and yeah, we can see why, because that save is absolutely phenomenal. Chris with his head in his hands right after the save.
Golden Glove, surely?
Yeah.
It's a Golden Boot, didn't it?
Sorry.
That's a hell of a season. If he's got Golden Glove and Boot, I mean... he just didn't score enough for me last season, Mark.
Not good enough.
That was a great save though, wasn't it?
Phenomenal.
Freeman's away, left-hand side. Little step overs, cuts it back. Vokes over the bar, free header from 5 yards, and that really should be 1-1. And Nick Freeman, some dazzling skills on the left, and Sam Vokes normally gobbles those up. Wing. Oh, that's a great ball by Wing to McCleary on the right-hand side now. McCleary up against Galloway, goes on the outside, chips it to the back post, looking for Vokes. Vokes wins the header. Mehmeti! Oh, brilliant save again. Vokes again, and saved once more by Cooper. And we can now see why the Cooper has got the Golden Gloves from last season, because that is again top draw goalkeeping and a brilliant move from Wycombe.
Absolutely magnificent football from Wycombe.
Still working hard, McCleary. Now McCarthy joining in. And now Horgan. Good graft from the far side, and Scar stops the cross. It's not clear though. Vokes! tries to hook it round Scar, and it goes across the face of goal and behind, and Sam Vokes there, desperate to get on the end of that, and it took forever to drop, didn't it? But it was a great bit of skill to hook it round defence, but the ball's put wide into the penalty area, and it goes and Mawson blocks on the line. Great defensive cover, and Plymouth there really close to doubling the score, but they come again now with Mayer. We'll pick the bones out of that in a minute. McCarthy to Leathers, great turn by Leathers. Ball's allowed to run to Freeman, referee plays advantage, and then Freeman is still going, Nick Freeman, 3 on 2. Sam Vokes on the right hand side, tries to lay it into Mehmeti, and the ball from Vokes is poor, and the frustration builds around us. Grimmer tries to release Mehmeti, who's inside the box now, lays it back to Al-Hamid, whose shot is charged down by Randall, who celebrates that block like a goal.
Just over a minute to go.
Big Max making his presence felt, and it goes right away into the 6-yard area. It's headed clear. Lewis Ring! It's hit someone and gone out again for a goal kick. Very busy 6-yard area. A beater with the ball in, and it comes to the near post. Headed out for another corner, and Plymouth have won, and they remain top of the table here. 7th minute penalty by Sam Cosgrove, a penalty he won himself. He converted it too, and that's the difference today. Wycombe had gilt-edged opportunities in the first half and didn't take them, and that's where they've lost this game. But we'll leave you with the full-time score here at Adams Park. Wycombe Wanderers 0, Plymouth Argyle 1.
Plenty of chances then created, as you heard Phil Catchpole describing the action along with Toby Large on our match commentary on Wanderers TV, and of course on Wycombe Sound, where you can enjoy the coverage of Oxford United this coming Saturday away. The allocation though of travelling fans looks to be pretty substantial as well. If you are going to the Kazam, hope you enjoy that. And with the rail strike as well, hopefully your travel won't be too disrupted. Let's hear, though, from Phil, looking back on events on Saturday, which, of course, included that very poignant pre-kick-off tribute to Bill Turnbull.
Yeah, it was lovely, wasn't it? Not just from the Wycombe fans, the Plymouth fans as well, and such a big presence for Prostate Cancer UK, because that's really Bill's legacy for the whole country. Getting, I think the chief exec Laura was saying after he kind of went public with his diagnosis and urging people to get checked, they saw a 20% increase in referrals, which is massive. And that message needs to be continually pushed out there. So it was great to see so many people buying the badges and raising awareness as well, but also to celebrate the contribution that Bill made here at Adams Park, and to have his friends and family here with us as well on Saturday was lovely. And Ceci, Bill's wife, I think was really touched by the what she sort of saw on Saturday was how much Bill meant to everybody here at Wycombe, and it was lovely that the family could see that in obviously what's been a really tough year for them.
And that's obviously such a credit to Bill's character as well, that so many people did, obviously hear him on the commentaries with yourself as well, of course, and just his sort of character that really shone through as well.
Well, yeah, as I said to the BBC guys that were here on Saturday as well, that Wycombe fans absolutely loved him because they felt like they knew him, because a lot of people woke up with Bill every day, if you know what I mean, when they turned the TV on, and there he was. And then when they turned the radio on a Saturday for some Wycombe games, he was there too. But he was a very different Bill on a Saturday covering Wycombe Wanderers, because he was a Wycombe Wanderers fan with a microphone, and I think a lot of the fans really resonated with Bill, because he basically said what they were all thinking. He would have a go at the refs and everything else, and was really special for them. And he'll be greatly missed, and I miss him massively. He was such a massive help to me as a young broadcaster when I started out, or not so young, but a really big help for me. And I really miss him because he was just such a great laugh. We had some really good laughs down the years, both on and off the mic. But yeah, I think of him every time I go up to the back of the Bill Turnbull gantry now, up at the top of the Frank Adams. But that's a great legacy for him here at Wycombe too. So it's just a shame that Wycombe couldn't get that win on Saturday, although I'm sure he'd have berated the ref at some point during that game.
I was going to say, what do you think he would have made of the performance?
I think he'd have enjoyed the performance. He'd have been moaning about the lack of goals in the first half, again, like all the other Wycombe fans. Wycombe not taking their chances. And it was an encouraging performance because it was top of the table Plymouth, who made lots of changes to combat the Wycombe style of play, which is a big compliment. They haven't beaten Wycombe for quite some time, and their manager made a big deal after the game of saying how much work they'd done in preparing for this game at Adams Park. But really, Wycombe should have scored 3, maybe 4 goals in that first half, and it's a very different game and probably different result had that been the case. I think it'd be more worrying if Wycombe weren't creating the chances. Hopefully, they can finish a few this Saturday against Oxford United. But I spoke to Gareth after the game, and he was bemoaning that lack of clinical edge in the first half.
Performance is good enough for a win, Their keeper's made some amazing saves. You can say and be harsh and say we've got to stick them in, but when he's in form like that, it was tough to beat him today, and we should have, but we didn't, and we put the pressure on him big time first half, and it's a clumsy challenge for the penalty, and that was the difference today, that one penalty, and it's frustrating, but we perform like that. That's top of the league in League One. I said to the boys, you perform like that, we'll be absolutely fine, and the cavalry's coming back. Gareth was back today. Losing Tafazoli and Gapey in the week I've never had anything like this, this injury crisis that I've got. So no excuses. We've got to be ruthless in front of goal and get our goals when we can. But fair play to Plymouth. They've took the points, and we've got to lick our wounds and go again next week.
This injury, I can't really call it a crisis yet, can we, at this stage of the season? But Sco and Tafazoli, on top of what's come before then, you must be wondering what you've done in the past here. Have you upset someone?
Thompson, and Gape and Wheeler and Damani, and we've got McCleary back today. Tafazoli's out, like I say. It looks like we've lost Farino. It's just getting tougher and tougher, but I know that second half of the season or second 2/3 of the season will be very strong because all these boys are coming back, some close to returning now, which is crucial, so just a bit has gone against us, and sometimes that happens. We've had the rub of the green for a long time, and really we've got all that success behind us. The last 7 years has been phenomenal for this club, and just a little stutter at the moment, but they're not going to put me down. I'm so pleased with the performance today. The lads ran for me, they challenged for me, they did everything but score, and sometimes you've got to accept that that will happen. Hopefully next week we can beat Oxford.
A league debut for Adam Leathers, second half.
Thought he did well. Thought he came on and settled the ball down really well. And again, positives. That's what we're doing here. Adam Leathers, Tyler Dickinson. We've got some debuts this year. Ali Alhamidi, of course, comes on. So, but like I said, I think when you have to rely on some of the young boys, it shows just where the club is. Jasper Pattenden as well, another debutant this year. So. But I think last year we were filling the bench with your household names, and that shows the strength of the squad. At the moment we can't do that. We've got to rely on some of this youth coming through. But believe me, they're good enough, and they will be. I'm really proud and pleased. Look at Mehmeti, look at Farino. They've done really well. So there's chances, there's going to be opportunities for people. But if we keep playing like that, especially first half, we'll be fine this season. So nobody panic, please.
This feels really odd to say, but for the first time in 19 years, no Matt Bloomfield at the Wycombe Wanderers.
Yeah, really weird. I know he's got defeat today at Wimbledon, but I think that it's harsh judging him after 24 hours of being a manager. I think he's going to be a success there. I think he'll turn him round, and he'll get hopefully some of the Wycombe culture there, but some of his own ideas and personality on the club. I think that's a success story, because Matt Bloomfield's a great guy. Fantastic to work with him. I want to thank him for all his hard work as a player, captain, roommate, coach. He's just been everything for me, and I wish him all the very best. He's going to learn how management is, but I've got my own stuff to concentrate on now, and the boys will be ready for next week, no doubt. And like I say, we keep playing like we did today, there'll be absolutely no problems, and we'll climb that league.
Something that really did stand out, as you say, that the chances created, which is something pretty positive to take into the next run of games as well.
Yeah, I think Oxford's going to be tight and edgy. They're a team that have struggled with injuries as well, and are struggling at the wrong end of the table, along with Wycombe. They've had a couple of slow starts in recent seasons as well, so we can maybe have a look at what they've done and take solace in the fact that they finished strongly. But yeah, they'll be looking for the 3 points as much as Wycombe are on Saturday, because at the moment we're both lurking above the bottom four, along with MK Dons and Charlton. And I think a lot of people expected Wycombe to be a lot higher up, as were Oxford. They've got some defenders coming back. They still look a little light up front in terms of fit and match fit players. So I think it's going to be an interesting match. They always are, because Sam, and it's a local game, isn't it? Shall I use the Derby word? I think I'm going to, because it's just up the road. there'll be a big turnout for the away section. There's always a strong home following at Oxford. It's going to be a tight, edgy game. There'll be a great atmosphere. And hopefully Wycombe can get the 3 points and it can kickstart a decent run for them.
Because it feels like, obviously, the last run of 3 defeats have all been against teams who are, well up there and big clubs, obviously, as well. And now we've got this game against Oxford, as you say, and then obviously Peterborough to come as well. But then MK Dons as well, who are both had similar starts to Wycombe as well. So it feels like these are quite kind of positive times we're going into.
Yeah, I think it really underlines the strength of this division, because I don't think there's an easy game in this division. We've played some of the big hitters away from home, Derby County, Sheffield Wednesday, and historically huge clubs, big turnouts, big atmospheres at those games as well. They were tough days. But I don't think there is an easy game. Wycombe had Accrington Stanley on a Tuesday night here. That was a really tough game and a really big victory for Wycombe Wanderers. But there's no easy game in this division, Colin. And I sound a bit like a manager now, but yeah, that's kind of how it is. And you look at the run of fixtures before a ball had been kicked when the fixtures first came out back in the summer. And we looked at this run and we thought, well, on paper, that's going to be really tough. And I think it will be. We've seen how tough it was at Derby and Sheffield Wednesday. I thought we should have won that game. And that was a decent performance. But then Oxford, there's a lot of history on that, a lot riding on it now as well. And then Peterborough, they're going to be licking their lips coming here with Wycombe in bad form, because they still feel aggrieved over us going up to the Championship back when we did. So there's so many narratives, so much around this. This is what makes these games fascinating. So, we just got to keep going and get a result, hopefully against Oxford, and then hopefully have a decent run and start to put some results together, because wouldn't it be great if we beat Oxford, beat Peterborough, beat MK Dons, all of a sudden the world looks a little bit better.
And also should have some key names returning from injury as well.
Fingers crossed. Missing Josh Scow and Ryan Tapazzoli, these are big players for us to be missing in the spine of the team as well. It looked like that spine was coming back together again, but just as Sam Vokes returns to fitness to lead the line, then those behind him start to get injured as well. So it does feel like we're having a bad run of injuries. I don't think any club can really moan about injuries because they happen to everybody. It looks like Wycombe's bad run has come at the start of the season. Oxford have also had a bad run as well. We need to mention that. But yeah, it just shows you that it's all about the squad now and the squad depth. And these are the opportunities now for the younger players and other players who don't maybe start week in, week out when everybody's fit to take a claim and make a name for themselves.
And it does feel like, goals have been in a bit of short supply of late, but it only takes something like from someone like Anis, for example, just to sort of spark something, if you like.
Yeah, I think Anis, nominated for League One Player of the Month, just shows you in what's been a struggling Wycombe team as well. Just shows you what a great start to the season he's had. I don't think he had his best game against Plymouth, although I think as well now people are really waking up to the fact that Anis Lametti is a very special player. And he seems to have 3 players around him every time he got the ball. And I think that's going to be the next stage of his development. We've loved watching him develop and progress week in, week out in the Wycombe shirts. And now I think his next challenge is going to be that everyone now fears and knows about him, how he then deals with that and then and gets around this extra man marking. And Wycombe have got to approach this as well as a team, because if there's 3 men marking Anis, it means that someone isn't marking someone elsewhere. So it's about how they use that extra space on the pitch and use Anis perhaps a little differently. But I think he's got the skill and the strength to deal with it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how he develops between now and Christmas, because I think a decent run of games, which is what he's having, and we're really seeing him blossom. And it's been a real pleasure to watch this season.
It sounds great that there's such a contingent going to Oxford on Saturday with the away allocation, and obviously really key that the fans get behind the team, especially in a difficult period.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what being a football fan's all about, isn't it? We've been quite spoilt of late with Wycombe Wanderers. The promotion season, the great second half to the season in the Championship, a brilliant season last season, although fell at the final hurdle. But you can't be like that every season throughout. And that's when, being a fan, you have to kind of dig in and get behind the team. And of course, Gareth understands criticism will come from fans as well. They pay their money, they're entitled to their opinion. Social media provides that platform for everybody, handily these days. But yeah, it's still about turning up and getting behind the boys and hopefully being the 12th man on Saturday, because a win for this club will be huge at this stage of the season.
And I guess the only downside on this particular away trip, it doesn't give you that much in terms of service station options.
Well, from London up to Oxford, there's the excellent Beaconsfield services, which is the finest services in the country. I don't often stop there because it's so local. Oxford Services is pretty good as well. A lovely water feature out the front. If anyone's never been, I highly recommend it. But you're right, yeah, it's not really. I can't really justify a stop at the services in these tough financial times that we live in.
Pleasure to speak to you. Enjoy the game on Saturday.
Nice one. Cheers, Colin.
Great chatting to Phil earlier. He was at the ground, actually, just by the press box, if you're interested. And no bird scare this week, which was reassuring. But maybe next week.
Okay.
Don't forget as well, you can hear the chat with Gareth in full on Wanderers TV. Check out the Wycombe Wanderers website as well for your chance to find out how to vote for NSME PFA Fans Player of the Month poll as well.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll hear more from manager Gareth Ainsworth talking about the trip to the Somme this week. We'll catch up with Wycombe Wanderers Women's boss Carl Simon, and we'll speak to the captain and winning goal scorer as well from Sunday's historic game at Adams Park in the second round qualifying of the Women's FA Cup. But first, with big thanks to Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, we catch up with another former Wanderer who played in the late 90s under Martin O'Neill, Alan Smith and latterly John Gregory as well. And he was someone who came to the club and, I'll let him tell you, but he didn't actually get off to the best of starts, especially on his debut. Midfielder Gary Patterson.
Well, it didn't start very well, to be honest. I'd found out about the interest from Martin. I went in the training to Shrewsbury on the Wednesday, got pulled in by the manager at the time, Fed Davies, and just said that Wycombe are interested. Martin and his assistant John Robertson were going to watch Man United. I think it was Man United versus Notts County reserves on the Wednesday night in Nottingham. So I went along there and met Martin and John. Robert was just piling loads of money into the fruit machine while me and Martin were discussing if the move was going to be available. Did all the talking, all the dealing and all that, and then went down Thursday. I should mention that I was struggling with a back problem at the time. The Shrewsbury manager was that desperate to get the deal done that he told me, if they don't do the medical, don't say nothing. I was like, well, that's leaving me in a bit of limbo here. I didn't know whether to tell them on straight away or what, so I never said nothing. Didn't do the medical on the Friday. They said, we'll just wait until the game, after the game Saturday, and we'll do the medical then. So everything was sorted by the Friday morning. I travelled down to Wycombe, signed for them, stayed down Friday night, then played the game on the Saturday. Unfortunately, got sent off in the first half for 2 bookable offences.
It's important to make a good impression on your debut, isn't it?
Well, I think I was trying a bit too hard, to be honest. I thought the first yellow card I recall was a bit harsh. But, so that didn't go well. And then, luckily, the lads pulled the result out of the bag and got the 2-1 win against High Fly in Huddersfield. And then, to make matters worse, we did the medical after the game and I failed the medical. So it just went a bit pear-shaped that my first day on the job, so to speak.
What did your new manager say to you after being sent off on your debut?
Well, you gather what Martin was like. Martin was not too pleased. And especially after what happened in the medical, that was it. I think we spoke. I think we spoke on the Monday morning regarding both aspects. Obviously the sending off and then obviously the medical situation. But it wasn't too bad because he played me on the Tuesday night and I scored on the Tuesday against Cambridge in the 2-2 draw, I think it was. And then that was basically it. Welcome to Wycombe.
I was going to say, it didn't take you too long to settle in, though.
No, the lads were great. I've come across a couple of them because we played, I think Shrewsbury, we played Wycombe twice or 3 times. We might have played them in one of the cup games as well. So I'd come across a few of the lads in their matches. Yeah, it was just going really well with the lads. Made to feel really welcome. So, yeah.
And a real credit to the group of players that you had, that you're still in touch with a number of them today.
I am, yeah. Keep in touch with Matty. I came down to Wycombe, obviously being a Sunderland supporter. I came down when Sunderland were first in Division 1. So I came down and met a few of the lads, met Keith Ryan, Keith Scott, Matty. I think that was about it. I think that was the three lads who were there on that day. And then obviously I spoke to I met up with Big Terry later on in my career when Terry went to Kingstonian. Yeah, made some good friends.
So did you have split loyalties in the playoff final? I suppose we ought to address that.
Well, I spoke to John early on in the week, and as far as Sunderland's compared, there's no other team compares to Sunderland for me. So there was no split loyalties there, unfortunately.
But you must be so pleased with how far Wycombe have progressed at that season in the Championship as well. I guess, when you were playing it, you came so close in the second division.
To be fair, we just missed out on the playoffs that first season. To see where they are now and especially what Gareth Ainsworth achieved with the budget and the size of the squad and how he's managed to maintain that squad and still compete at that level is just nothing more than phenomenal, really.
And going back to your time at the club, are there any particular kind of games or occasions that really stand out?
It was to be fair, it was a bit disjointed once I joined. Because obviously I joined at the Christmas and Martin was gone by that summer, and then Alan Smith came in. So it was a bit of a disjointed time because I don't know how long Alan lasted. About, I'm not too sure. Was it a season and a bit? Might have been less. And then John Gregory came in, but yeah, that first season the lads were firing when I first joined. And as I say, we just missed out on the playoffs that season, and that was the season Martin left, really.
And what was it like, sort of transitioning, if you like, between the different managers? Because obviously you played pretty regularly under two of them, certainly.
Yes, it was Alan Smith could come in and he'd obviously wanted to change the direction of the club regarding it. Because what I found when I joined when Martin was still there was the fact that it was obviously a lot of that group of players had come with Martin through the non-league route. So it was basically Martin didn't really need to change a lot of things regarding that group of players, So it was just a case of like me getting involved with that group and carry on the way the training was and things like that, which was brilliant, to be fair, because it was at least you knew where you stood. You know what I mean? So regarding that, and as I say, when Alan came in, that's when I think the club started to change a lot. Whether looking back, it was for the better, I don't know. But as I say, I got on quite well with Alan Smith, so it wasn't too bad for me. But I know some players, obviously, when a new manager comes in any team, there's a possibility that you're not going to get on. But luckily for me, I got on quite well with Alan. So.
And something quite nice about your position as well, because you had got a number of other sort of midfielders around you, and obviously other teammates from different positions as well, though, that you sort of combined so well with.
Yeah, after I'd signed, I'd spoke to Keith Ryan. We used to socialise quite a bit while I was down there, and Martin, he said to me that the reason Martin signed me was probably because I'd played so well against him during my time at Shrewsbury. And I've seen that, and that was more of quite a recurring theme where midfielders would come and go, and it was a case of if you played well against Keith, then there's half a chance you might turn up with a player. So it was, that was quite strange to find out.
And did it feel like quite a special time to be at the club? You speak to many ex-players and their sort of era, if you like, feels like it's quite a special time. And as you say, you were so close to the playoffs and you had some quite special games and quite special times during your time at the club.
Yeah, very much so. It's always, whatever team you represent and playing for, you always have great times, teammates and things like that. So it's, the special moments, they don't last very long. So it's, you've got to enjoy them while you can, you know. And as I say, I've still got some good friends down there who will try and catch up and get down to some games.
And really nice as well. You must have got a great bond with. You were saying, obviously coming down from the Nottingham area, sort of list sharing with people. That must be really nice as well. Just the travelling and a great sort of camaraderie there.
Yeah, there was like I say, there was Tony Evans, Lee Turnbull. We used to meet up with Steve McGavin now and again when he signed, because he was Birmingham based at the time. So there was Simon Hutchinson. There was there was a good group of players from up and around the neck of the woods, you know. So it worked out quite well for the car sharing, and getting the trips down there were quite a laugh.
Did you have sort of favourite sides that you liked playing against, or favourite players perhaps, or games that you especially look forward to, or grounds that you especially looked forward to playing at?
I mean, at that time there was Huddersfield were one of the bigger teams in that league. You knew you were going to be in for a battle with them. But it was just, the league was quite competitive then. It was obviously a lot more physical than what football is now. It was like old school managers you would come up against, the likes of Dave Moyes. It was a Preston that you always knew you'd be in for a game. So, you knew every Saturday was a battle, and you just you try to do the best of your ability, really.
So overall, how do you look back at your time at the club?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it went in a flash. As I say, we only had 2.5 seasons there and 3 managers, which you don't expect us to have in 2.5 seasons, but it is what it is. And each manager has his own interests in how he wants to play and the squad he wants to have. So it was, but no, I really enjoyed my time down there. It's a lovely part of the world, just outside of London. So it was, we had a few decent night outs with the boys. So it was great for me.
And then you went on to have obviously a pretty decent career post your time at Wycombe as well.
Yeah, well, I went to non-league with Matt Crossley and Terry Evans. So I went on when I left Wycombe. I had a few trials with league clubs. I went to Lincoln, who Gareth Ainsworth was actually playing for them at the time. I don't know if you know much about John Beck, but he had a reputation for being a bit of a madhead. And I went on there for 2 weeks. It was one of the hardest 2 weeks pre-seasons I've ever had. Nothing came of that. And then I just got a call from Matty saying that him and Terry had signed for Kingstonian. Would you do you fancy coming down and having a couple of games and see what you think? I went down there, played one game, and they wanted to sign me straight away. So it was we had a really good time down there as well with Matty and Tel.
And what do we find you doing these days?
I'm a white van man. I'm a courier, so I've got a set up in Nottingham, basically driving around Derby and Nottingham. So just delivering parcels, keeps me fit, keeps me active.
No, fantastic. And it must sort of change, I guess, in a way, the way you sort of look at football, but also how you can kind of reflect on your time in the game and sort of watching it these days. And as I say, just really pleased, I guess, for how well Wycombe are doing these days.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, as I say, obviously, I think Sunderland deserved to win in the playoff final, but for Wycombe to get there was just phenomenal. And as I say, as I spoke to John the other night, it was like the job Gareth's done for the shoestring budget he's on compared to some teams in that league, it's just like nothing more than phenomenal, you know. And it's and I think Wycombe are quite lucky to have him, to be honest, because as I say, he must have had a lot of interest, and I think that's probably mutual respect of what Gareth's got for Wycombe and Wycombe had for Gareth. You know, it just seems to work, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they might be able to get close again and try and get back under the championship.
No, fantastic that he's been in charge for 10 years and obviously at the club for longer as well.
Well, like you say, in this day and age now in football, how many managers can actually see it, or they predict they're going to be in a job for 10 years at the same club? It's just, I don't think it's going to ever happen. Well, I don't think it'll ever happen again. Not in the current situation, but yeah, I mean, like I say, phenomenal. And it's not just, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves on some of the football they play. It's a lot of people are a bit critical of how his style of play is, but from what I've seen, it's been brilliant. Yeah.
Well, it's been fantastic to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time.
No worries. Thank you, Colin.
Great to chat to Gary Patterson, and I can thoroughly recommend checking out the previous episodes of the 2 and a bit Wycombe Wanderers Show series that we have available wherever you get your podcasts from. You can listen to many of the fantastic interviews which we've spoken to many of the former players on the Wycombe Wanderers Show here at Wycombe Sound.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth, who, along with his staff and players, went to the World War I battlefield in the Somme region of northern France this week. They were there on Monday and Tuesday to learn and pay their respects to the footballers' battalions, who, you can tell I'm reading this, who made the ultimate sacrifice just over a century ago. But first, on Sunday was a very historic occasion at Adams Park. It was the first game for Wycombe Wanderers Women to be playing at the home of the men's team. I was fortunate enough to go. I was very excited to be out, to be honest. But my first women's game, really inspired by how good the England team did in the World Cup, and then more recently, of course, in the Euros, and been in a fantastic position to be able to promote Wycombe Wanderers Women here on Wycombe Sound in recent years as well, speaking to the players and manager as well. It was a fantastic occasion. Hamilton Academy provided the ball girls at Adams Park, and it was the second qualifying round of the Women's FA Cup, taking on London E Benfica, which was a fantastic team made up of a number of Portuguese players as well, who are obviously based in London, coming up against Wycombe Wanderers Women. And if you didn't follow what happened, Wycombe Wanderers Women went 2-0 up. And then the visitors got back into it, and there was a late winner from Esme Sword as well, which was a fantastic result, and they progressed to the next round of the competition. And I was very lucky afterwards to get to speak to Carl, the head coach, who was, as you can imagine, very pleased with how it all went.
Yeah, really honoured to get the opportunity to play here, and the whole day has been fantastic, and the crowd especially, the Wycombe supporters, they came out and supported us in good numbers, so it was a really enjoyable occasion.
And there must have been so much hard work going into getting this game to this point. It seems like not that long ago that the club was just playing on the Rye, not really even affiliated with Wycombe.
Lots have gone on. It's been a hectic... it's been a whirlwind, and I have to give a lot of thanks to the guys that brought me in, so namely Nigel Kingston, the chairman, and Tony as well, and they brought me in, and to be fair to them, everything I've asked them for, they've tried to get it, and I have pushed a lot, but I think they wanted that. And to be fair to them, they've gone out and they've done all the things I've asked them to try and do for us. And this being the icing on the cake, getting us to play an FA Cup fixture at the home of Wycombe Wanderers.
It seems to come at such a good time. I know we've spoken before as well with the success of the Lionesses and really building on women's football success and the changes that you've brought in since you've come in, the players you've brought in as well.
It's an amazing time. Thanks to the Lionesses, we're all enjoying it. We're all riding a wave at the moment. The spotlight on women's football and the way people are viewing it now it's just kilted slightly, and you can see it today. The appreciation for the game. I'm so happy for the players today.
And how's this match day preparations compared to a normal, in inverted commas, match day?
Same work for me and my coaches. We just do the same thing all the time. We go through our routines. The players know what we want from them. Being here was a bit like Christmas morning. It's really nice. But we just get on with our job. We do the work.
And what was your thoughts on obviously the result and the performance as well from the players?
The performance from the players was fantastic, considering how we dominated in the early stages, what we asked the players to do. We've started slowly in the last few games, but we asked this time the players could come out and dominate from the off, and they did that really, really well. We went ahead, 1-0 ahead, we could have been 2-0 up. Great save by Emily Strange at 1-1. Great save when she was 1v1 with a really talented striker, kept us in the game, and then we got the second goal. And at that stage it looked like we could go on and kick on and take the game away from Benfica, but fair play to them, they came out. It was a goalkeeping error, but these things happen in football, right? And then all of a sudden now you've got a different type of game, and we had to try and deal with the striker, the number 11, really talented player, Portuguese lady, and I had to change my centre halves because she was causing us a lot of problems with her movement and her pace. So we changed one out, and then a minute later we get an injury to our fullback, no more substitutes left, real problem. So we had to reshape again the tactics of the team, the formation, and like I say, the players had to show real character to see that game out.
That was something that really stood out, wasn't it? The character of the team at 2-2.
Yeah, 2-2, the character was fantastic. And the winning goal from Esme Sword, I mean, you know, you can't ask for more than that. You know, it was Van Basten-esque, you know, chest in the volley. It was a fantastic goal from her. Really pleased. Something
else that's really stood out, you won't know, but there's a couple of young girls sat near me, and they were so impressed with the players. They wanted to meet them afterwards and get them to sign their shirts. They were saying, we've got to take this into training, what we've seen on the pitch today. And it's just so lovely to hear.
That's what it's about, you know. That's what football's about. It's about inspiring people, isn't it? And that's why we do it all. And it's really great that that's happening to local girls in Wycombe. Brilliant.
And fantastic to be through to the next round of the Cup as well.
Yeah, we are. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully, you know, we can get another home fixture here at Adams Park. It's brilliant. And thanks to the club. Real big thanks for all the effort they've made, helping us put this on and giving us the opportunity. We really, really do appreciate it.
Carl Simon, the head coach of Wycombe Wanderers Women, speaking to us after that game. The Chair girls have been drawn at home in the third qualifying round of the Women's FA Cup. They'll be playing against Aylesford. That game is being played on Sunday, the 23rd of October at 2 o'clock, and there'll be information on tickets to come over the next couple of weeks for that one. After the game, got to speak to the scorer of that winning goal, Esme Sword. But first, Cara Howes, who was the captain on the day.
I mean, it's a lot different, especially with the crowd. You know, they keep cheering you on, and it makes a huge difference when you're playing, because it's that little bit more encouragement that you need.
What was it like just coming out onto the pitch at Adams Park, first of all?
I'm not going to lie, it was a bit overwhelming, but once you settle into it, it's really good. I enjoyed it so much.
And I guess you didn't know too much about the opponents coming into the game, but they were quite pacey, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. You know, you have to see what they're like and then change your game plan through that, and I think that's what we did, and we dealt with them really well.
Especially in the first half, you must have been really pleased with the start that you made to the game.
Yeah, we made a huge impact in the first half, and then, you know, it got better.
And really pleased with the result, and obviously the character shown by the team as well.
Yeah, definitely. We all stuck together till the end, and that's what you need as a team.
And Esme, we must chat to you. Your manager has described your goal as Van Basten-esque, which must be quite nice to hear.
Oh yeah, no, it's I'm overwhelmed by it all, for scoring the winning goal. You know, it's great. Yeah, I couldn't have hoped for a better outcome, really. Well, I suppose we could have been winning all along, but, you know, who likes it that easy?
And does it feel like quite a sort of historic occasion being part of the team that's played at Adams Park for the first time?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Cole was speaking about it in the changing rooms, and was like, in years to come, you know, people might be talking about this, and it's, you know, it's great. It's definitely such a boost in the kind of women's football, definitely. We're all grateful to have played here, and, you know, it was a great experience, and we'll take it with us, you know. Yeah.
And Cara, does it feel like you're part of something special? I was just saying to Cara, there were a couple of girls who I was quite sat near. It was really interesting to hear. They were both 10 and 11. They said that quite a lot. But also they were really impressed with like yourself and some of the other players, like the things you were doing. They were saying, "Oh, we've got to take that into training," and they wanted to meet the players afterwards and get autographs on their shirts and stuff. That must mean so much to you.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want to be those role models for the younger people and see that they can play at the standards that we play. And, you know, we just want to build the women's football over time.
And your next opportunity to see the Chair girls in action. They're in league action this weekend. They take on newly promoted and as yet currently unbeaten, which is a bit of a tag to knock off Bournemouth Sport LFC. They'll be in action on Sunday. You can get down to the 1878 Stadium in Burnham to cheer them on there. Also, the under-18s and reserves are also in action this weekend. The under-18s face Nottingham Forest, also at the 1878 Stadium in Burnham on Saturday, whilst the reserves are away to East Oxford on Sunday. So quite a Wycombe-Oxford combination to look forward to this weekend. As mentioned, Wycombe Wanderers have been in France this week on Monday and Tuesday. Gareth and the rest of the staff took the squad to the Somme to reflect and sort of take in what was there, and a real kind of team building exercise. And Gareth was speaking to us a little earlier on today on his reflections on the trip.
Brilliant trip. You know, we do go on about our culture and the way we are and the way we respect things, and obviously a bit more information about a few more Wycombe players that were out there really related to the whole trip. It was really good. You know, the boys took it on in the right way and immersed themselves in the battlefields and in the footballers' battalions, and just a real interesting trip. And just again, just breeds our culture, though, what we are. And I always say that that's one thing I always want to make sure that I do at the club is keep the positivity going with the boys, keep them developing as human beings, and that was important. So real good trip, some super guides, and yeah, hopefully the boys got a lot out of it.
And I guess it feels especially poignant at the moment, especially with what's going on in the world too.
Yeah, you know, talking about wars and things like that, and it is a really sort of emotive subject that people talk about and people get involved with, and yeah, the boys, I think some of them won't even have known about World War One or what happened, and if it can relate to nowadays and the atrocities and the horrors of war, then I suppose everyone in the world wants peace everywhere, and that's a big thing. But the sacrifice that people give, and the fear and the togetherness, and all these subjects that come up in the trip, I'm sure that people around the world every day are still going through. But hopefully one day everything can be nice and more positivity and loving people around the world. The better it's going to be. But unfortunately, it never seems to happen, does it? So, but no, the boys really took it on well, and I'm really, really proud of them. And like I say, it couldn't have come at a better time, really, with the run. I've had a couple of defeats where I really thought we should have got something out of the game and ran out as many points as we wanted at this stage of the season. But I think a break sometimes is as good as a change, and that was really, really interesting and really, really, really helpful trip.
I was going to say, does it feel like a real sort of reset for the players, and they'll come back sort of refreshed and more determined, if you like?
Yeah, hopefully. You never know in football. You never know. You get these moments, and you don't know why they happen sometimes. But like I say, against Plymouth, I was happy with the performance. I thought if that's top of the league, then we're absolutely fine this season. We will be fine, and we've got to make sure that we're on it. On Saturday against Oxford, because it's a derby game. The fans all love this one, and we want to get back to winning ways as quick as we can.
And as you said after the game on Saturday, the amount of chances that the team created was something that was really positive.
Yeah, we should have scored. We should have been 2 or 3-0 up at half time, but or 3-1, with their penalty. I think they were only shot on goal, and the first half was the penalty, and it's tough to take because it's a clumsy one, and they've got out of jail with the penalty. I think a 0-0. Even that would have been a better result because it's top of the league. But I really think we should have beat them on Saturday. But I'm quietly confident underneath that we're going to have a great sort of a great run soon, because I'm getting some of these injuries back, and we can get our full squad to choose from.
That must be so positive for the fans to sort of focus on as well, with the calibre of player that you've got to return as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's great, being able to get Adam Leathers on for his league debut minutes, and some of the younger boys that we've been playing this season. But I think that we've seen over the years that there's no exchange for experience sometimes, and people who've been there and done it, they're really the ones that you can count on week in, week out. These young boys are going to develop. They're going to get plenty out of this, and again, more positives for me. But I'm looking forward to the likes of Scowen and Hanlon and Thompson and Tafazoli all returning, which isn't far away at all.
And Saturday should be a really great game. Obviously, you mentioned the sort of local derby of it, but coming up against a team who've had a pretty similar start as well. Yeah,
they've had injuries as well, and I think that both clubs can really empathise with each other. Carl's had injuries for some of his big players, and I've had injuries to a lot of my big players, and I think it shows. It just shows, and I think it shows that when you do sign these players, you've got good squads. We've both got really good squads. We've both got squads that can challenge at the end of the season, definitely. But at the moment, you take the best players out of any team, and they're going to struggle a little bit, and that's what's happened to both clubs at the start of the season.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because I was reading your sort of comments after the previous game, and you were saying that normally the club has a bit of a blip around February, but sort of seems to be doing things a different way. And I guess in a way that sort of suits the team, sort of coming from behind a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've done it before. We have finished like trains before, but back in the day, usually we go off like a train and have a blip and then get back on track, and that's looks like it's going to be different this season. But no, I'm really, really pleased with where we are, and just like I said, the injuries returning is going to be key for me.
And just finally, what would be your message to supporters going into this sort of run of games? Because there's quite a few few matches in October.
Yeah, just stick with the boys, get down and support them, because it's it makes the good times even better when you've supported them through the tough times. You know, you get your justification of being a proper fan. Yeah, we'll do our best, and hopefully we can get the right results out of it.
Wycombe Wanderers manager Gareth Ainsworth speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound. Luke joins us for the now almost legendary Notice Sports section of the show, which is, I think, a valid part of the programme.
I do as well. I think we need to get like a theme for it or something.
Yes, definitely, or some sort of jingle.
I'll work on it. Thank
you. You're going to bring us news of the money raised from Saturday.
Yeah, and it's a great amount of figure in money-wise and also club-related as well. If you were at the game on Saturday, then you'll know that a celebration of Bill Turnbull at Adams Park after the postponed Port Vale game, I believe it was. So they moved it to last Saturday. They had Prostate Cancer UK there. They were selling a badge for Bill as well. And I'm very delighted to say that they raised £1,887 and £236 in cash.
I thought something important had fallen off there.
No, but that's a great amount of money raised. And if you missed the chance to buy a badge for Bill, then the Trust say they have some more that they will be selling on the Saturday, October the 15th, which is the Peterborough game.
Absolutely, and also coming up after that, a fun-filled festival of football and fireworks for the whole family has been...
sponsored by the letter F.
has been announced at Adams Park for the Wycombe Wanderers League One fixture against Morecambe, which will be on Saturday the 29th of this month. Kicks off at 3. The Chairboys take on the Shrimps with the entertainment running throughout the afternoon. It includes live music, football games, face painting, giveaways, competitions and local food and drink before the action gets underway. Yes, providing the sort of soundtrack, if you like, as well.
Oh, I like that.
There'll be a spectacular fireworks display over the Chiltern Hills following the final whistle as well. Also joining in with the activities will be Wycombe Swan, who will be kicking off the build-up to the festive season by adding some sparkle from their forthcoming Cinderella Panto, which runs from the 9th to the 31st of December, suitable for all ages, literally all ages. All ages, and also they're celebrating their anniversary, as are we, over that weekend as well. There's lots going on the family day as well. There'll be bars and the Chairboys Village fan zone open from midday. We'll be there from midday.
We will.
Food available from the Hellfire Barbecue and other food trucks also in the village. You get the chance to meet the players. The Wanderer stars will be arriving from around 12:30, so you can catch photos and get autographs outside the players and officials entrance as well if you hang about there. There's also entertainment in the car park kicking off at 1 with face painting, or you can get amongst that. There'll be some music, football games as well, stilt walkers. Giveaways, you can give away a stilt walker. There'll be other competitions as well, and as we mentioned, Wycombe Swans activities as well taking place close to the car park entrance. As mentioned, game kicks off at 3 as you'd expect, and you can support the Chairboys with the whole family as well. And as mentioned, after the final whistle you can enjoy a stunning fireworks display. It's set to be very good.
It sounds very good to me. Bring back the fireworks, that's what I say.
Yeah, absolutely. And also by the end of October, we could be in a very different position league-wise as well.
Yeah, you've got to keep the faith, as Gareth would say. Proud of the boys. They were unlucky on Saturday. You can see why Plymouth are the top of the table with their goalkeeper, who was on top form. I watched the highlights of it, and he was very impressive, as well as the rest of the team. So you can see why Plymouth are up there. But Wycombe, had their chances. So I think we just need to bring back the few players that are left to return to the squad, and our predictions will look a lot better than they do currently.
Yes, no, very well said. And a busy month of fixtures coming up in October as well. I've got 2 games against Peterborough to come, obviously in the EFL Trophy and the league as well. And then MK Dons before Cambridge, and that game against Morecambe as well. So a lot of fixtures in October, and as we mentioned, things look very, very different. That rearranged fixture, by the way, is the 1st of November, the Port Vale game. That's on a Tuesday night. Kick-off at Adams Park is at 7:45. Some other games coming up as well. I won't read the whole season to you, but there's Forest Green Rovers, Cheltenham Town, and the reason I mention it is the Portsmouth game on the 2nd of December has been moved from the Saturday, you might have heard, to the Friday because of a potential England game at the World Cup.
England.
Yes, quite. I hope you've enjoyed the Wycombe Wanderers show for this week. As mentioned, if you're not listening to it live, you can definitely catch up with it in other ways as well. The podcast will be available usually the following day around lunchtime. There's the Wycombe Sound radio player page. You can catch it on YouTube as well. And the Listen Again feature on the website wycombesound.org.uk. I think that's it, isn't it?
I think that's everything. You did it. Well done.
Thank you. The whole thing has been wrapped up, and we're back at the same time next week. Hope you can join us then for a 7 o'clock kickoff at the Wycombe Wanderers show here on Wycombe Sound.
Come on, you Blues.
all the best to the team at Oxford on Saturday, and enjoy the game if you're going.